Hello and welcome to the Rugby Chat podcast. We are going to be talking about the All Blacks versus the Springboks. The whistle has just blown and the score was 57-0. Yep, a record score there, and I haven't got all the details as to which records have been broken, but I know records have gone down tonight. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, and start again. And joining me this evening to talk about this is Mike from Real Mike Pullman. How are you doing, sir?
I'm bloody excellent, mate. It's good to be here.
It is, and you've already told me that in our pre-quick chat that you have at least 4 players to talk about, and I'm guessing one of those is going to be Rieko Ioane. Yet again, he has put up the most meters, most defenders beaten, and all of that kind of stuff. He racked up 171 meters with ball in hand, which is over 100 meters more than anybody else. Beat 11 defenders, and also got himself a try as well. I'm guessing he's one of the guys you want to have a chat about.
Yeah, definitely. Well put, mate. Rieko Ioane is on his way to a very special career if he can keep up these sort of numbers. I don't think he's actually played the game for the All Blacks where he hasn't scored, and you know, he's leading the numbers like you said. This guy has all the tools. He's so fast. He's so powerful as well for such a little guy. He really, again, I think he had the biggest impact in this All Black backline tonight. Fantastic, and there's just no doubt in my mind now that he should be starting every week should he be fit.
Oh, I'm not sure every week. I think he's going to need a rest. We don't want to burn out the young guy too early. But yes, he has had a fantastic start to his All Blacks career. As we said, lots of meters made. And also, not only did he score a try, but he also made a try. I think his decision-making needs to be improved a little bit. Early on, he returned a kick, ran into traffic, and he lost the ball. But then again, later on, he did spot that he had a forward in front of him, stepped around him as the winger came in off the wing to try and take him. He failed and made a great break for another try. Just a couple of comments already in the live chat, which are kind of funny. Danny Tanner says, I thought the streaker showed more dedication than the Boks tonight. I think that's a little bit harsh, but let's have a quick chat about the Boks before we have too many superlatives about the All Blacks. I think they got their game plan wrong tonight. I think to me, they put up a high early ball contestable. Damian McKenzie knocked it on, but I don't remember another high ball for Damian McKenzie that he had to sort of jump for in traffic.
Yeah, definitely. I think their kickoff plan was really wrong. They were kicking it way too long, giving the All Blacks way too much space. They didn't put up enough high balls. And again, nothing from McKenzie tonight suggested to me that he's really any better in that situation. You know, I thought the Springboks had a pretty decent first half. You know, it just didn't go their way. But in that second half, particularly in the last 20 minutes, they were abysmal. Their defence right throughout the game pretty much was shocking. But again, I think some of the intent and the execution was probably somewhat better in that first 5 to 10 minutes from the Springboks. But, you know, when you see Aaron Smith putting the kick like he did, it just creates something out of nothing. And I think the Springboks' will was broken at halftime, and that certainly showed moving forward in the match.
Yeah, well, to me, actually, I thought they made less errors in the second half than the first half. In the first half, they had like 12 turnovers, and they finished the game with 18 turnovers. So they cut out the number of turnovers they had, but that also came with the fact that they also had a lot less possession and territory. In the first half, they had more. They had 54 and 61% on the possession and territory. In the second half, it was 40 and 33, and I think that was partially because the All Blacks kept hold of the ball better. But I say that the Springboks weren't turning it over as much. Their tackling also improved. In the first half, they were below 50% tackling, which is abysmal at this kind of level, and explains why the game had already gone by that stage. And that did improve to 67% by the end of the game. So I think that their tackling did improve as well there. The first half, yes, it looked, because they had more of the territory and more of the possession, it looked like they were in a better place. But every time they had to defend, they messed it up, and they just turned the ball over far too often in that first half to be able to take advantage of any territory they kind of had.
Yeah, definitely, and I think they, you know, in that first 10 minutes anyway, I felt that they were trying to exploit, you know, the All Blacks typically slow starting. The All Blacks defence tonight was absolutely sensational, whereas the box was pretty abysmal, as you said. But I don't, you know, a lot of people are going on about the Springboks tonight, but, you know, I don't think it's the end of the world. I mean, and it's very easy to, I guess, get into a state where, you know, they've had a good year compared to last season, and then coming into tonight's game, you know, we're all sort of thinking, hey, they might just be able to, you know, challenge the All Blacks. Sorry, so I definitely think that we need to look at this for what it was. It was just a bad night for the Springboks, but, you know, let's not jump the wagon, so to speak.
Sure. I think one last thing about the Springboks before we do sort of start throwing superlatives around about the All Blacks was the set piece. That line out tonight just really malfunctioned. And there were some throws where they didn't even get a jump up in the air, which showed that they were totally at 6s and 7s in that department. I'm amazed that they only lost 5 out of their 14 lineouts. It felt like more than that. The scrum was a bit all over the place. Both sides had ascendancy at times, but that lineout was abysmal. And if you have that situation, you just retaining your own ball, adding on pressure just becomes impossible if you just keep losing it at a set piece as well.
Yeah, and there wasn't enough communication in the lineout. You know, I saw at least 4 lineouts tonight where they were just sort of standing around, looking at each other, looking more at what the All Blacks were doing as well, and they weren't talking to each other. And you know, at this level, I think that's unacceptable. And you know, they didn't have an answer, and I don't think they really changed their approach to the line out right through the game. So, you know, they need to work on that this week for sure.
Absolutely. They are going to work on their lineouts. I'm not sure why we've suddenly picked up an echo. Can you just check your side, Mike? Yeah, it was probably one of the worst lineouts. I mean, this is a lineout that in our day, and the Springboks used to be the masters of the lineout with Matt Field and Botha, and see it have gone downhill so much is amazing. But let's move on and talk about good things about the All Blacks, and let's talk about the first first try of the night. I think that was the tap and the chip through for Rico.
Yeah, it was. So Aaron Smith spotted the big hole in the back of the Springboks defence. But like I was saying, you know, to people I was watching the game with, you know, the way that Aaron Smith hit that ball and you know, the perfection of the kick is what set up that try, you know, and he just knew that Rico Ioane was going to get there. So, yeah, brilliant try, and that really, I think, at that point in the game, the All Blacks hadn't really done much. So it just shows that those little moments in the game can really shift momentum, and it certainly did from there on out.
Yeah, it's execution, and that's really what the Springboks lacked in the first half was execution. They had the opportunities, they had the field position to do it, but they didn't make it count. Whereas Aaron Smith saw an opportunity, took the quick tap, gave himself time to think by running laterally into space so that he could see what was going on and judge it and make that great kick. And then that was followed up by a lovely read by Milner Scudder, who intercepted and then ran it back for a try with some nifty handiwork between him and Beauden Barrett.
Yeah, that was just freakish from Beauden Barrett, and I think in any other situation, Springboks might have got out of that. They managed to get back. I think it was Scozan, the winger, who showed his pace. But, just for Bonan Barrett to be so calm in that situation and to run the line that he did and have faith that, Scudder was going to get up. I think he got tackled and be there. Just the communication without really talking, you know what I'm saying? Just great night for Bonan Barrett, and that was the moment that really kicked him into life, I think.
Yeah, and that was the moment that you can see from the two players who have been playing at the Hurricanes together for hours and hours, and have got that telepathic understanding between them.
Yeah, definitely.
We then moved on from that, and the next one was a little bit lucky, a scrappy crossfield kick that Scott Barrett picked up and looped around into the corner.
Yeah, definitely. But again, I mean, just the awareness that Scott Barrett had, to first and foremost be able to regather the ball and not find himself tackled into touch, but to to be able to power through. I think he had one guy try to tackle him. Just to me that was an example of it. The ball just not going the Springboks' way. It was a scrappy cross kick. They contested it. They managed to sort of, for it the catch, but then to not be able to, secure Scott Barrett. Really unlucky, but great skill from Barrett. It takes a lot of bravery to sort of run towards the touch line, especially when you're forward and you're not that fast. So good on him.
Good on him. It's a classic move, actually. We see, or a classic sort of, move we've seen from quite a few of the All Black forwards as they pick it up and then run that loop to give themselves a bit of forward momentum before they make contact to try and get more game line advantage. And I think that's what he was really doing. I don't think he was expecting to find there was no one in front of him and run to the line. I think he was looping around as kind of programmed to do to give his players time to get behind him, and B, to try and get some momentum to get over the gain line with you carrying the ball there. But I thought it was a bit of a strange tactic to be cross-field kicking towards a wing where you've got Dane Coles, Milner Scudder, and probably Damon McKenzie. Not three big guys, really. Three are shorter players within the All Blacks. So to me, that was a bit of a strange tactic to not have put someone taller out there to receive those crossfield kicks.
I think that's more Barrett, though. We've seen him do that same move, quite a lot. Also of the Hurricanes as well, and I think it's almost pre-programmed now. So, he probably didn't really think about who was out there. He saw the space that there was, and he went for it. So maybe after he put it to boot, he was sort of, having a couple of second thoughts about it. But, it kind of worked out in the end, didn't it?
Absolutely, it did. And then the fourth try of the first half, Rieko Ioane spotted a mismatch and broke the line. Lovely break, and then just the All Blacks flooded through, and eventually Retallick put it down. And it was great to see how happy Aaron Smith was for Retallick to get one of his rare tries there, I felt.
Yeah, and I think Retallick, he was immense. He was one of the players I was going to mention, really immense tonight. He showed, every bit wise probably the best lock in the world. And, it was great to see him go over. But again, put it down to Rieko Ioane. And it wasn't just the speed. It wasn't the fact that he broke the tackle. It was that he saw the opportunity, whereas a lot of players would have, passed on that situation. He backed himself. And he's a really quiet guy off the field, but man, is he confident and is he loud on the field. So great work, Rieko Ioane again.
Yep. I just wanted to go as we reach half time. I'm going to grab a comment in the live chat from Danny Tanner. The entire bench was good tonight. Yep, they were. It always helps when you're coming on to a winning side, though. But the second part was quite shame about Squire and the head knock. He was racking up the numbers until then. Squire was having a great game, wasn't it, until that point?
Yeah, he was actually, and hopefully it's not too much of a serious, concussion. But hey, you still got Vi for feeder, so it's Andrew Onkino, potentially as well.
Well, and Scott Barrett apparently has now put his hand up for the number 6 jersey as well after that performance.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, there must be something that the Barretts are drinking, because boy oh boy, they're all so talented. And I thought Scott Barrett was so mature in the way he played, coming on in that situation, and that showed obviously in his performance, but defensively as well, he was pretty immense.
Yep, and I just want to sort of touch on the defence. We've talked about this in previous shows, and we've seen some strange stats where we've seen like fly halves and stuff have the most tackles in the game, but that wasn't tonight. Tonight it was the big boys: Retallick with 14, Sam Kane with 15, Sam Whitelock with 10. That engine room really did put in a shift tonight for this game. It wasn't this. Whilst the score might look like a blowout, there was some very hard work put in there to make it so.
I think Ofa Tuiongafasi as well, and it's so great to see him do what he did tonight, because a lot of people have written this guy off. They've said that he's not the goods, he shouldn't be in the team. I think tonight he proved every single one of those critics wrong, and it's bloody good to see, because he's a really good young player who just hasn't had the opportunity really. And tonight on a big stage like that, he took it. And don't rule him out. I thought Kane Hames was pretty average, so Tuiongafasi must be in that conversation now.
Yeah, Hames picks up a whole bunch of penalties in this game. He was the most penalised player in the whole game with 4 penalties. So yeah, that's because he didn't have the best game, that's for certain. And also around the park, he was a bit quiet as well. Only one run with the ball. He got 6 tackles in there, but not. I think one of the quieter players for the All Blacks this evening. So that was my read up until half time. Come the second half, and you had to wonder how the All Blacks how the Boks would come out. The interview with their coach at half time said, "Oh, we're going to stick to our structures. We've had a bit of a poor set piece, but we can't but not move away from that." And I think hearing that really sets the alarm bells for me. Is that if you're 4 tries down at half time and you're saying, "Yep, let's stick with the structures," there's not much going wrong, then perhaps you're not seeing the same game that I'm seeing.
Yeah, definitely. They in that situation, you've got to throw caution to the wind. You've got to come out and play aggressively, and they did anything but really. That first 10 minutes was really scrappy. But again, I felt the All Blacks were probably not so flash to begin that second half either. But when you look at a scoreboard like that, it's I guess on both sides of the equation, it's probably quite easy to be critical of the All Blacks not running away with points straight away, or the Boks, not coming back into it. So, but yeah, the message at halftime from the Boks was, based on what the coach said, basically said just go out and do what you've been doing, and that didn't work. And I think that's poor coaching, to be honest.
Yeah, I have to agree. Whilst they were making errors, reverting to error-free rugby, which is what I think they were trying to do in that second half, wasn't the way to go. I think they needed to put a lot more contestable kicks up, and they needed to break things up and to try things. Their back three have got pace, but they never really gave them space. We didn't really see the wings out there to get the ball at all, and they never really used play to some of those strengths that they have got, unfortunately. And so the next try was Milner Scudders getting his second try before he got substituted off. And I must admit, I've gone blank as to what happened, as to how we got to that one, but I do believe it was out wide somewhere. Oh, that was the one that was nearly he was nearly in touch, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's a big long pass by by Bowden Barrett. But the work had been done before that with the forwards rumbling up the field and drawing in that Springbok defence, which was a bit, well, at that point, abysmal and tired. And this just all Barrett had to do was cut out a couple of receivers, and he did just that.
Yeah, and I think we saw that I think perhaps one of the statements that that New Zealand wanted to make here, but actually maybe something we saw also during the Lions tour, thinking about it now, is that perhaps we're reverting to a bit more of a forward style game that releases the backs later than we've seen in previous years. I thought they took quite a while to get the ball out to the back occasionally, and it's only when there's broken field play that they kind of go for it. If they're into the phase.
Oh, I think we've dropped out, ladies and gentlemen. That was DrivingMaul dropping out. So I guess I'll talk now. Yeah, just as Paul was saying, that I felt really that the All Blacks, they use their forwards a lot more than they normally would, and they kind of played that South African style game, rumbling it up with the forward pack and yeah. So okay, well, it looks like I am now in charge of the show, so I'm trying to go off where Paul was going. Oh, he's back.
Are you back?
Are you back?
I'm back. Oh, well, I was talking. Sorry, it looks like we lost you there. I'm not quite sure which one of us has been recorded, and we'll see. I'll have to listen back to the recording later. I was saying that the forwards carried the ball quite a lot and didn't release it to the backs, and that we saw a lot of the forwards, and that perhaps the All Blacks are playing a tighter game this year than we've seen them play in the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you popped back up there, because I was trying to get to the next try and I've just gone blank as to what happened next in the game. So I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, just bringing back the commentary then. So after that, after the Miller Scudder try, we had the Tugafasi try where he bashed over. And I think we're going to wrap this up quickly because we're going to get to watch the next game. Then Liam Sopawanga off the back of Anton Brown's wonderful break. And then finally, Cody Taylor scored at the end after time was up. But as I say, we've got those forwards getting involved there, which shows that it was a forward domination piece here in this game that released the backs, really.
Yeah, definitely. And again, though, I think that All Black forward pack was led by, particularly with Talek, I felt, and Barrett as well. And again, Sam Cane, he's one of these players that I'm very critical of him in the Chiefs, but man, when he puts on that black jersey, he's a different player altogether. So yeah, those three men in particular for me. Okay,
and one comment from the live chat question: what do you think about the scrum mic? It says.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, early on, I think that was one of the first couple of scrums where the Springboks, pushed over the All Blacks and got the penalty. But apart from that, I thought once Tuangafasi came on, they were a lot better, and there's a lot of work there for Kane Hames to do, and obviously Nepo Laulala is impressive as well. So yeah, pretty good scrum overall, but Springboks were poor in that regard, really.
Yeah, it kind of ups and downs. And Springboks lost, I think, 3 of their scrums according to the stats. I think one of the things to remember, apparently Springboks missing 6 props. Obviously, the All Blacks missing their first 2 props. Now, injuries are a part of the international game, but you have to take that also into account. There's a lot of first choice props here, so we were kind of down the pecking order, which probably led to the bit of toing and froing and a few more collapsed scrums than we'd have really liked in this game. But yeah, it got a bit messy at some point, and Nigel had to call them over and say, hey, if you two don't keep it up, we're going to get 2 guys on who won't, which is one of his favourite kind of style of comments. It's a shame that we had to have that kind of in there. It just got a bit messy, really. So any final thoughts to wrap up before we have a quick look forward to the next game?
Yeah. Well, we've got about 7 minutes till next game. I think people need to really probably calm down a bit. To be honest, yes, this was a bad Boks performance, but I mean, put it into perspective, they've had a really good year prior to now, and there's no reason why they can't turn around and beat the All Blacks in Newlands. They weren't as bad as what the scorecard really does suggest, and defensively, yes, poor, but they didn't get enough attacking opportunity really. And I know we're talking about territory, but you can have all the territory in the world, but I don't know. I think it's a great night to be an All Black fan, and this was one of the best All Black performances I think of the year, actually. And let's just call it what it is, and see what the Springboks can come up with in the weeks coming.
I think you're over-exaggerating about the fact that they could win it in Newlands. I don't think that's really on the cards. I do think this Springboks side is still a side on the up, though, and that they have got. This just shows that they've still got a lot of room to grow. Things like comments in here, like South Africa is over, and all that kind of stuff. No, they're better than they are last year, even if they have had this one-off, this one game that obviously is a record loss. They're still better than they were last year, and they are still a side that has room to progress and is progressing as well. I agree.
And you see, this is the problem, and a lot of Kiwi fans might not see it as a problem, but when you've got one team in world rugby that usually is a step above and beyond any other country, when you see a team like the Springboks are on the rise once again, and they front up and play like they did tonight, suddenly the reaction is, the team are terrible and it's all bad, and that, I think the teams just need to be able to match this All Black squad. It could happen next year with England. England could have a wonderful 2 years like they've had, and then show up and play real bad against the All Blacks, Could happen. So we just need to put it into perspective. It was a bad night, and let's just chill.
So, Wallabies versus Pumas, how are you seeing that one going?
Oh, the Wallabies have to win. Jesus, they should have won last weekend. Big game for them tonight. I just think the Pumas are going to be pretty abysmal, really. I mean, and history suggests that after a match against the All Blacks, they're usually pretty bad the week after. So, yeah, I'd say the Wallabies by about 15.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a hangover from last weekend for the Pumas, and I'm expecting the Wallabies to win quite comfortably as well. I'll be back straight after the game, probably with a solo match report, match reaction. So do come back onto the channel and have a look out for that one. Mike, very briefly before we rush off the game, let everyone know where they can get hold of you and chat to you during the week.
Yeah, cool, guys. You can find me on Twitter at Real Mike Pullman, and yeah, I'll be tweeting all night tonight. So going to go have a few drinks as well. So actually, it might not be a good idea to go on Twitter if I've had a few drinks. So we'll wait and see. Find me on there.
And please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast through whichever podcast listener you are listening to. And obviously, if you're listening on iTunes, give us a 5-star review. Other stars are available, but hey, you wouldn't want to do that to us, would you? Also, if you want to watch these shows and see what happens behind the scenes, they're on my YouTube channel. So go to YouTube/C/DrivingMaul, and you'll find my channel there. So you can subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. And finally, during the week and during games, you can find me at DrivingMaul on Twitter. So hit me up there as well. Thank you everyone for joining us, and I will bang back in about 2 hours with the Wallabies versus Pumas post-match review. Good night.